This is an NFTs culture interview with successful artist Jay Alders. First question, I'll start with an easy, or at least a seemingly easy one.
Throw it at me, man.
Yeah,
Whatever you got.
I feel like for every person that creates, there's always that moment in their life where they were like, I can do this, or I think this would make me happy or provide fulfillment in my life. What was that moment for you?
Probably the earliest vivid memory I have like that. I was in grade school, probably second grade ish. And it was one of those essays you're given that every kid is given. What do you want to do when you grow up, sort of thing. I say recently, about 8, 9 years ago, I found the essay, and it was basically describing as a kid wanting to do pretty much what I'm doing now. I've always wanted to create. I've always wanted to contribute, help people with my artwork, and sort of make my own path. So it's really all I've ever known and ever wanted to do, and it just so happens that I've been lucky enough to do it.
That's great, man. That's beautiful. I personally believe that there is no greater time in human history than right now to be creating art, distributing art online, both in terms of the financial benefits, the ability to share your work, the endless opportunities for collaboration, what have you. I would assume there are still significant barriers to creating quality art and subsequently gaining a following that you have today. What do you feel like those barriers are, if they exist at all?
Well, I think answering what the barriers are is probably a lot easier than answering how to unblock the barriers, because I feel like anyone that's an artist or a creative person already intuitively knows what the barriers are, because chances are they have already encountered a lot of them. I think the bigger problem is, how do you get beyond the barriers? That's the problem people have. If you're going to do any sort of creative work or any sort of work that's different or unique, there's no way to avoid barriers. People are going to present obstacles and friction, whether it's internal or external. You're going to get some criticism coming towards you. So I feel like getting over the barriers is really where the question is, and I feel like that's a topic that I'm pretty passionate about. Actually, I'm in the middle of finishing up writing a book, and a lot of it has to do with such things. And it basically is, a lot of it has to do with just creating the mindset. You need a mindset that knows how to deal with lots of different restrictions and obstacles and roadblocks and all these different things that are thrown our way. A lot of it is boiled down to commitment. You have to really be committed and have a purpose to what you're doing, not just do it for the money, not just do it for notoriety, not just do it for hopes of any of those things, which may or may not ever come. You have to actually have a purpose that's guiding you. I feel like that's what people should focus on more, aside from the NFT hype, or opposed to like trying to make it big or license your work, or achieve an album cover with your artwork on it, or any of those great things. Those things are cool, but it's not why you should be doing the work in the first place.
Completely agree. I think that I was really struck and puzzled with a sort of cryptic joy, I guess, at your piece that was called Local Glow. I posted it on our Insta, and I truly am genuinely intrigued by this piece. You wrote on your caption that you made it on stage with a friend. Can you
Mm,
tell us a little bit about that experience?
yeah, that particular piece I painted on stage with musician G Love, pretty well known rock star type guy. Definitely check him out. So he's like on the same record label as like Jack Johnson, who, if you know Jack Johnson, he's one of Jack's close friends and collaborators. And so G Love is a hip hop acoustic jammy type guy, does some really amazing music. And so that particular piece was made on stage with him at a show, which is one of the things I do with my career. I do live painting on stage with, rock stars, or just, cool people, people doing music, hop on stage, create a painting. And that was one of those instances.
Awesome. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I guess on top of that, what is the general thought process that you employ when starting to brainstorm an idea for a new piece? Whether you have to, do it on the spot on stage, or you have to, you could take some more time on your own and think about it. How does that, work in your head?
If you're doing it right, it doesn't happen in your head at all. If you're doing it right, part of it happens in your head, right? Like you have to plan certain things out. You have to know what you're doing to some extent with your craft, your whatever medium you're using. When I'm having the most fun with making art, it happens somewhere else. I don't know if it happens in my heart, if it happens in my soul, if it happens in the universe, but the stuff is happening somewhere, and you're sort of guided to the right answer. I feel like a lot of life is like that. If you focus on what you can contribute, a lot of times you're brought to the answers, and then on the process along the way, you have to use your thinking brain and sort of work out problems. And doing live painting, there's not a lot of room for thinking. You have to kind of just feel the music and just see what happens. But if I'm doing a more elaborate piece that might take me a couple weeks or a couple months, there's certainly a lot of thinking that goes on involved involved in the process. A lot of it's intuitive, and just trying to figure out what you're trying to achieve with the piece, what you're trying to contribute with the piece, trying to present yourself with enough challenges to make it both interesting and help it evolve you as you're creating it. Yeah, it's kind of like that.
Yeah, it's a fantastic answer. I feel like a lot of that I can relate to that a lot in my life, with trying to achieve my goals and dreams. It's more about following the good energy than it is about following any of the other things, the notoriety, the money. But anyway, yeah, that's great. So a couple more, and then I'll let you go. Every artist uses, I would assume, anecdotes from their personal life for inspiration. Do you feel the events in your personal life have had a great effect on your work? And if so, how? I mean, the reason I ask this is because, despite the limitless amount of approaches and opportunities that creating art affords to us, I feel there is genuinely a sharp contrast between artists who are intending to show some sort of truth or reality that their audience may or may not be seeing and they want them to see, and artists who are seeking to create perspectives, realities, and or portrayals that aren't necessarily, real by any measure.
Yeah. I'm not sure what you're asking per se, but I can kind of just riff off of that. I feel like I love, drawing a bowl of fruit or or a life drawing model as much as any artist would. Those are great. It's amazing to be able to document what's in front of you, whether it's a landscape or a model or an apple. For me, I personally find a little more pleasure in creating something that's not necessarily there and sort of bringing to life a vision that was delivered to me in some respect. I feel like, yes, I mean, every part of your life has some sort of anecdotal influence on what you're creating, if you're creating for the right reason again. But then there's also there is plenty of room to just draw what's in front of you as well, because you need to master your craft and hone your skills. And that comes with a lot of repetition of drawing what you see in front of you, put it on paper or canvas. Eventually you can put on paper or canvas what's actually not there, which is a whole other level of skill that is very different in a lot of ways.
Yeah, that was exactly what I was looking for. So thank you. Yeah, the last one. What do you want, your legacy to be? And I don't mean this in like a grandiose sense of like how will your contributions affect the world tangibly or anything like that. But like if you could choose, like how would you like people to remember you?
Oh Lord, it's a really existential question, huh?
It certainly is. The reason I asked
Yeah.
it because I asked this question. I just find I'm very intrigued by, it kind of testifies to why you're making the art, I suppose.
Yeah, well, in respect to my artwork, if we're sticking to that topic, to instead of getting too metaphysical, I try to make artwork that lets my visions live on, right? So if I feel like if I'm granted access to a vision or an idea or an inspiration, it's my job to bring that to life, much in the same way that I have 3 kids, and it's my job to raise them in a way so they can go on and live their life in the way they choose and have them be as contributory to the world as possible. I feel like it's the same as artwork, right? So you bring art to life. What do you want to do with that art? You want the art to carry on. You want it to continue to inspire. You want it to continue to make the world a little bit of a better place, right? So I feel like if there is a deeper meaning to it all with the artwork, I think that is it, to kind of carry the torch while I can, pass it off to others, inspire people, and just be able to kind of step out of the way and let the artwork do its thing. Let it kind of live on in its own way and see where the art goes, and being a part of that is a big honor, and it's a noble tradition to be an artist. Artists have been revered, and artists have been a part of society for thousands and thousands of years. And it's just so happens I was born into this time, and I'm going to use this time to see what I'm capable of doing and how I can use my art to help other people as much as I can.